And here we are. Podcast again. You're here with Lee Duran, the finance man. Who are you again?
I'm the best in the West, Chris Dominguez.
And who is the special guest today?
I am Aileen Mezza, the author of Look, This Is the Way It Is.
Look, this is the way it is. No, look, this is
the way it is.
It is. There's two is's in that. You know that, right? There's two.
Wow, man, you're good. You're good.
There is
It
two
says right
is's.
there.
There's
Wow,
two
you're
is's.
good.
Yeah, this is two is's.
There's two
This
is's.
book. Tell me about the book. Tell me.
Tell you about the book?
Yeah.
So Look is my life story told in first person, basically about my battles with mental health. And basically it talks about my journey of an incident that happened to me when I was in college.
So your battles with mental health. What is that? Tell me. That's a very vague thing. Talk to me.
Basically, I had, at 19 years old, I didn't even know I suffered from mental health. And I was a crazy kid partying it up at San Diego State, thinking I was invisible like most kids do. And I had a night of shrooming psilocybin mushrooms with my friend.
Shrooming?
Shrooming.
Okay, so not maybe some of us aren't familiar with that term. What is shrooming?
So shrooming they're called psilocybin mushrooms, but obviously
Psilocybin?
that's the proper term.
Okay, good.
Psychedelic drug.
All right.
That they're the best things when you're young and dumb. And
Is it a drug? It's a mushroom.
It's a mushroom, but
Is it a drug?
It is dipped in acid, from what I.
Oh, so they don't just grow when you
So
eat them.
you were doing acid.
Pretty much.
All right.
Being
okay.
a dumb
so
kid.
19-year-old, you were doing acid in college, but this is really a shocker right now because there's probably a lot of people doing shrooms and acid in college. Talk to me. How did this go?
So what happened was I had done these shrooms probably 2 times prior. On the third occasion, I got stuck in a trance, thinking the end of the world was coming, and I ended up running out to the streets of San Diego's Montezuma Road in a blanket. I was covered, but I was naked. And I got taken in 5150 because I wasn't in the right mind, in a psychosis state.
5150 is crazy, right?
Yes.
That's just crazy.
But here's the deal.
Okay.
I didn't even know that. Obviously, I must have had a chemical imbalance because the other friends of mine that did it didn't flip. I'm the only one that ended up flipping. So obviously, it revealed to me a mental illness that I guess I was suffering.
What does flipping mean? What does flipping mean?
Flipping out means I got stuck. I didn't come down. Normally you do these shrooms, drugs, and after a couple hours, or you sleep on it, you're better the next day. I was up for days after, and we were all 19-year-old dumb kids, so all my friends were like, I think Aileen's going to come out of it. Let's just...
So they're watching you?
For a couple of days, I was not sleeping, and what are you going to do?
So you went 5150 and you spent a couple days in...
No, this was before that night, the morning.
Oh.
My friends had come off of it,
Okay.
and they were like, oh, dude, Aileen's not doing well.
Okay, so this happened in later. How much later did you...
Couple of days. So it happened on a Thursday night. We partied.
Uh-huh.
No. Probably happened on a Monday night.
Okay.
And for like 3 days, I was like sleep deprived. And my friends are like, she's going to come out of it. I mean, what are you going to do? You're 19. Are you going to go like tell like a mental place? My friend did mushrooms.
Give me a step-by-step of this timeline because I'm lost.
I'm lost too.
Okay, so step 1, what happens? You you eat mushrooms.
We had a party. Okay. Mushroom party.
Step 1 party.
Okay.
Party. We're like, we're going to shroom tonight. We freaking put them in Rice Krispie treats. We smoked weed. We had a fest, a mushroom party. I had done these before. Okay?
Yeah.
I had done these before, and I never came off the trip.
Got it. So step 1, you partied, you ate mushrooms, you ate Rice Krispie treats. Step 2, what happens?
I am tripping, not even aware that I'm tripping. I'm sleep deprived for a couple days.
Okay.
Just up, just wired.
So you do this like on a Thursday.
So now we're Saturday.
Friday, Saturday, you still haven't slept.
It was January 13th, 1998. That was a Thursday.
Wow.
So I'm gonna tell you.
Oh,
that was my
perfect.
birthday.
Yeah.
That was your birthday?
That's my birthday, man. You're tripping on my birthday.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Tripping. Tripping. Go.
Yeah. So it actually happened January 13th, 1998. So that was a Thursday if you look on the calendar.
Okay.
And it was 2 nights I didn't sleep. Well, let's go back. It was probably like Monday, Tuesday that I had the party. So then I didn't sleep.
You're partying on a Monday? You're a serious party.
We're San Diego State, baby.
So
I'm all San Diego State. Come on.
I don't know if this is
So
a real
par-
proud representation right now. You're saying you're tripping on acid and mushroom, San Diego State.
So you partied on Monday or you partied on Thursday? And now I'm confused again.
I partied. Listen to the story.
Listen
I
to the story.
partied on Monday, Tuesday.
Monday,
Let's just say
Tuesday.
it was Tuesday, and I was stuck for 2 days. And Thursday morning, I woke up
You woke up.
thinking the end of the world was coming.
Where were
And
you?
I happened to be at my good friend's home in the room of a guy at the time that I was very into, but he wasn't there.
Okay.
And so, long story short, that I won't explain why I was not dressed, but I ended up, my mind was going, what you got to understand when you're,
Well, you can't just blow by that. You want to explain why you're
Butt
not
naked?
dressed.
Why you butt naked?
Yeah, we're not. I mean,
oh
this
man,
isn't like a
because
Disney
I
channel.
kind of,
Why do adults
you
get
start
butt
out with
naked?
acid and you're
Lee
worried about
need-
how we're.
Lee needs to know why adults get butt naked.
Yeah, why do
He doesn't know this part.
Yeah.
oh
go with
god,
that.
this is like, is this X for rated R? Because I can't say this right
You don't
now.
have to cuss. I mean.
No, it just
You
basically.
already said you were naked under the blanket. I guess
So-
what? We're all naked under
Okay,
our
so
clothes.
so you got to understand this. You got to understand that when you're tripping on these things,
Mm-hmm.
all your subconscious, unconscious stuff is coming out, and that's what I need to talk about mental illness.
So if I
guess-
did this, I'd be like, Lee, I really love your shirts.
no, because everybody's
all front.
No. Here's the key about mental illness. Was I really crazy? No,
don't-
at the time I was, but I must have been already
Who
like.
called you 5150? The police?
Well, no, we're not that
Well-
far in the story. Hold on.
Well,
I
when,
don't know.
if you find a girl on the street in a blanket,
Well, is it,
Well,
did the
5150
police-
means you're in danger to yourself or somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the police call you that, or are you calling yourself that?
well, that's what they do. They pick you up, and that's
Did
a
they
whole
pick-
other thing.
no,
And they
did
take you
pick
in.
you up?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
I got taken
Okay.
to a mental
You got
facility.
a
got it.
48-hour hold or 72-hour hold or
Yeah,
something like
which
that.
is
Got
a
it.
whole
Cool.
other reason why I wrote this book.
Okay,
'cause,
go.
yeah. What were you asking me?
I'm trying to get a timeline still.
Yeah. We're
No,
I got
you
Monday,
said why I
Tuesday,
was-
Thursday, Saturday.
You
I
know
don't
what?
know
It's
where we're at.
really irrelevant to why I was undressed right now.
You're the
We
one
don't
who
really.
said. Well, you're the one who said. There's a
I
story
know,
I was
I know.
asking about a timeline,
Yeah,
not
okay.
your
there's a
nudity.
story. There was a story
Okay,
behind
okay.
why I was undressed. All right. there's
You
a
guys got to
story.
read the
Tell the
book.
story.
You guys got to read the book.
Ah, okay. Well,
You gotta
know,
read
you're-
the book.
Better yet, how about we get the author in and we do a podcast that we can touch the world with?
Yes.
Why you were naked.
It's got a lot to do with where my emotions were at the time. I was really into.
You're into this dude. You were
I was
in
into
his-
this dude.
He left.
The rest of that
obviously.
is not brain surgery.
I was
into
having.
this dude.
I
I'm
was
not going to tell you
having
why I was
maybe
naked.
that evening. I had been having fun with myself.
Okay, cool. Party.
All
This
right,
girl
fair
parties
enough.
by herself,
All
with
right,
her
good deal.
friends, with or without
I was
mushrooms.
19.
Yeah, okay,
I was
good.
19.
All right, got it. Cool.
One man
We got
party.
it, yep.
One man party.
Oh, right. TMI. That's
Alright,
it.
alright, alright.
But a lot of people ask that question, and it is in the book.
All right.
So there.
Okay, so what day are we on?
So I was thinking that the end of the world was coming, and we
On
were all
Thursday.
going in
It's
our
gonna
birthday
end on Thursday.
and we were all going to go in our birthday suits to outside,
Who's we all?
like the world, like everybody.
okay. So
Like
this is-
everybody's
everybody's
kind of, it was
just
like
gonna
the
be fucked
rapture,
out in a
like
trance.
spirit. I was in a trance. Like
Your
this-
thought is the world is going through this right now.
Yes.
And
Okay.
they're-
Where everyone's running out into the street.
People are just taking off their ties and
You
jackets.
don't understand.
and they're,
I'm
like,
I
walking
was
out.
raised Catholic, so I'm a very spiritual. It was a very like awakening. A lot of people that have these trips, it's very spiritual for them.
Got it.
And I was believing that I was like in between, like, I don't know, it sounds crazy, like in some type of purgatory or something, like
Okay.
heaven and hell.
Okay.
Like it was very dark. And then when they took me in and they closed me up in the mental place, and
Padded cell.
it wasn't padded, but it was a steel door, little 4 walls, is when I had my awakening. And I was like, holy crap. And I
Out of
did. I
jail.
prayed to God. And
So
I
you
said,
came out of this trip?
it was when reality struck. They had handcuffed me. They had taken me in, and there's a quick part of the story. I stopped at my friend's house on the way. They were trying to tell the cops. My friends lived on the main street.
Wait,
so
the
when
cops were taking you to jail and you stopped at your house?
they were literally they stopped me, and they're like trying to get me into the car, and I was like, no. My friends are gonna clothe me to live on the street.
Mhm.
So, and it was this house called the Barn that we all used to party at.
The barn.
And pretty much my friends were like, oh, she's just been studying a lot, telling the cops.
tired.
She's just been up, even though it was like winter break, right?
At the barn.
And the cops knew I was on something. They're just like, so that's
Yeah,
when
the
they took me.
cops.
Yeah, they took me in, and they took me into San Diego
From the barn.
County Mental Health.
From the barn.
And that's when I got taken into a room.
From the barn.
Yes, that's the place.
Okay.
That was the place we
Yeah.
partied.
He's got
at.
a
You know
thing
what
for
the guys?
barns.
Well, no, the guys at the college. You know what? Let's go pick up some girls. Where? The barn. The barn.
The parties were at the barn. Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
dude, that sounds awful. I
You
didn't
didn't-
realize.
I'm just retelling.
Well, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff that went down at the barn.
Okay, got it.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. So,
Anyway,
anywho,
moving along.
So moving along, I had my awakening when I got into the mental hospital. Pretty much being taken in and being like, dude, I'm not crazy. I'm just tripping on is when I realized I'm stuck. But I was stuck for a couple weeks. I didn't just come out of it right away. I actually was transferred. You know, I'm 19. My friends had to tell my parents, hey, come get Aileen. She's, you know, because I was supposed to come home. It was during winter break. And my parents were like, what's going on with Aileen? Of course, my parents were like, you're leaving San Diego. Like, I'm 19 years old. My world goes from being this college kid, partying it up, to like, nope, you're going back home. And I was in a charter behavioral health.
Where was home at? What
Buena
state,
Park,
city?
Buena Park, California,
Okay.
Orange County. And I had been transferred to a
Fancy.
charter.
Buena Park's kind of fancy.
Yeah, we lived there for borderline Knott's Berry Farm. I'm a Knott's Berry Farm kid.
right.
I grew up at Knott's, but anywho, that's besides the point. I got transferred to a charter behavioral health. Back then, they had these charter behavioral healths in Mission Viejo, and they put me in a locked up unit. And what happened was these doctors didn't know what I had done. They were like, what'd she do? Mushrooms? Psilocybin mushrooms? And that's the thing with mental illness, not mental health. Like, at the time, like I said, I was in a drug-induced psychosis. That's what they called the term.
Who's
drug
they? Doctors?
Doctors.
The police people?
doctors?
How long were you in the police people places? Jail?
Well, the whole
Hold.
time. I believe, and that's the part that's a little, I have to check my records.
Yeah, they have records.
Yeah, I have to check my records. It is a 72-hour hold, but since I did have a psychologist at the time, I believe my psychologist allowed me to get transferred. So I was not in there for 72 hours, like my
Okay.
psychologist. So pretty much what ended up
So
happening.
you had a psychologist prior to being deemed 5150. So you had somebody that you were seeing before the police said you were crazy, or a danger
not
to yourself.
regularly.
Not crazy. I don't
It's
get
because
letters.
okay, not regularly.
But
gosh.
you had one. That's a fact. You just told me that.
I
yes?
had one
Well,
because
you just-
my home life was a little nuts. My sister and my parents had some issues.
Got it. So you had a
and
psychologist, though. We have to establish.
It was
we're
my
still
sister's
establishing
psychologist.
timelines.
It was my family psychologist.
I don't know if I can buy that. I'm
Do
not buying
you-
that because psychologists have to bring you in a
No,
real
no, no, no,
profession.
no,
It's
no,
a
no,
real
no.
profession. It's yours, right?
No, so here's the.
So you're trying to distance yourself from the psychologist, but the
No,
truth
no,
is
no,
you
no,
had
no.
okay, so you had the psychologist prior to 5150.
Dr. Vance Becker, he's the one that endorses my book on the very first page.
Okay.
He was my very first psychologist.
And how old were you when you got this guy?
I was 17, but that's not by choice. My parents said he wants to see you because there was a lot of issues at home with my sister and my parents. And I thought they were the crazy ones and I was a normal one. So my sister had issues. And I was the one that was happy-go-lucky, like, I'm going to go away to San Diego State and life's going to be peachy keen. And you guys are the
So
ones.
for the record, we had a psychologist at 17,
Yes.
and we landed up 5150, a danger to myself and or others at 19.
But was I really a danger? From perception wise
the police
says,
say you were.
and that's a whole other thing about 5150 that is a little hard to, when they go and they evaluate you, is a person on drugs really a danger to themselves or to society?
I have a serious
was
question.
tripping.
I have a serious question.
Yes.
Do you believe you really remember this correctly?
Oh, yeah.
Here's the reason why I ask: is I've asked for a timeline a dozen times today, and I have not gotten an accurate timeline or day or
Because-
And we're
event
just
or
figuring
Read
anything.
the
out
book.
that you
You
had a
have to
crazy.
read
Does
the book.
does the book give
Yes.
a definitive
Yes.
timeline?
It's upside down.
It's for you.
Chapter.
It's not for the world. It's for you. Does it give a definitive timeline
Yes,
that I
it
can
does.
actually
But what
follow?
we missed right away was that she already had a psychologist
Because you know what?
already at 17 years old.
Why do you think
Why?
I'm going to write? Why do you think I wrote a book about it? Because it's a lot. There's a timeline as to the events that led up to that night.
I'm not asking
There's
that
a-
question because I don't believe you. I'm asking that question because people in general have a hard time remembering what really happened.
I remember everything that happened, but it was highly traumatic. So can I tell you that? It was very, very traumatic for
Okay,
me.
so we had a psychologist at 17. We landed up 5150 at 19, and now we're in a facility where you are locked down. And where are we?
I get transferred to charter behavioral health from that facility.
Okay, got it.
Okay? Because
You're still 19 years old.
still 19.
Got it.
The doctors in Orange County at that facility charter,
Mhm.
were not aware of what I had done. They were like, "What are mushrooms?"
Because psychologists and doctors don't know what mushrooms are.
Not everybody. Like there's
The
bad.
ones that went to college for 4 years and then went to college for that for 8 years for the chemistry of the brain don't know what mushrooms are.
Well, so here's
I
the.
don't know if
And
that's
you
the
recall this
question.
perfectly.
I recall this
Well,
perfectly.
you didn't. You just said that you dipped these mushrooms in something.
no,
so
I didn't dip them.
Or they were dipped
they
in
come
something.
like that. They're psychedelic.
Well, I thought the mushroom just grew and you eat it.
I think they're.
You're
dipped in
telling me
acid.
that it's induced or has another chemical
I
involved in
believe
it.
so. My friends got them from like Arizona.
So when the psychologist
what I heard.
asks that question, it's actually a legit question. Is it mushrooms or is it something else?
It's mushrooms.
Yeah.
They're psilocybin mushrooms. But see, some people just, you can hallucinate from the ground, but some people do take it to an extreme and they put other stuff on it. Just like any
Like a
others.
primo?
And the psychologists don't know this. Maybe we should teach
No,
them.
no, here's the deal. No, I did not, don't say the psychologist didn't know that. This was 1998.
They didn't know
And-
it then.
No, listen to the story.
Okay, go.
When I was at the charter, they were giving me meds, and I could literally remember my brain not okay. And I kept telling my parents, these doctors here do not know what the hell I did. Like, they're giving me these uppers. I'm more anxious. And they even said, I don't know if she's ever going to come back out of it. But I was spiritually praying to God, and I knew I was going to come out of it. It was just like a matter of time. However, I remember my brain not okay. And I remember being like, you need to find me. Take me back to San Diego, Mom and Dad. They're like, hell no. And I was like, I don't know. Some doctor over there knows. I just feel it. So hence, on the bottom of my book, Dr. Michael Lardon wrote the foreword of my book.
Okay.
Dr. Michael Lardon was God sent. I found him from calling an insurance company. My insurance company at the time, I was like, I need to see a psychiatrist in San Diego. My parents are like, hell no, we're not taking you there. Dr. Lardon was the first doctor that saw us and was like, you fried your brains out.
So wait a minute, how do you
Fried
get
your-
from
whoa.
how do you get from Bueno Park or no Orange County? How do you get from Orange County to
Back to San Diego because I felt my brain not okay. And I told my mom, you either get me a doctor because these doctors here are experimenting with my brain. I feel my brain not okay. I said, something tells me, take me
So
back
you
to San Diego.
of not right mind
Yes.
were able to
Yes.
convince your family to
Yes.
take you out of a sanctioned medical facility and
Rewind.
transfer you to another sanctioned medical
Rewind.
facility? Okay, help me.
No.
Rewinding.
I didn't say I was transferred.
Okay, go.
No. I was in charter behavioral health for a week. They were giving me meds, treating me. They released me because they were just like, back to my parents
Okay.
in Bueno Park.
Okay.
Are you a minor at this time?
No, she's 19.
19.
Dude, follow the
Dude,
timeline.
follow.
Dude, follow.
There is no timeline.
No. We've been
Getting
saying
a
I'm
better
19
timeline.
since the
I-
beginning.
you were sick. No, you were
17.
16.
You were 17.
No,
when she
no,
got
no,
a
you
mental
asked
health
me.
facility. No, 17.
No,
See,
16
you're
is when they got the
No,
psychologist.
we're just coming
The
over.
family psychologist.
Okay,
Psychologist at
16 was
17.
never around. 17.
You went from 15 to 17?
I don't even know. Whatever. let's get back on
Okay,
track.
back to my track.
So,
So they released you from the Orange County
Charter.
medical facility
Yes.
into the care of your parents.
yes, and I still wasn't okay.
At one time, you said that they didn't know what was going on. At any one time, did these professionals say, "Hey, Aileen, how did you get here?"
The mushrooms.
Okay,
But,
so they knew.
but they knew, but they didn't know how to treat me properly.
Oh, so they're
So they
didn't
were
know what to
giving
do
me,
in Orange
and see,
County.
and this is the part with mental health,
Okay,
and
tell
mental
me.
illness.
Tell
Anybody,
me.
if you do suffer, and like again, mine was a psychosis. I hadn't had any episode prior to that.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna prescribe you meds, and they have to find this proper balance and cocktail in your brain. And so, the thing with me is, I was like coming out of the psychosis. So these doctors didn't know what meds. They were giving me uppers. When I say uppers, there's antipsychotic meds, there's antidepressants, there's Prozac.
Are you a doctor?
I'm not a doctor, but I've been a mental patient for 20 years. So I'm.
Okay, so no, hold on. I'm trying to register that. I got it. Okay, got it.
So
You're
I
not-
have
do
the
you have
experience
any
that I even
medical-
educate.
No, I get it. You're on the other side of it, but do you have any medical
I
training?
do. I did study human development at Hope International University.
Any degrees of any kind?
I'm yet to finish
So
my
no
degree online.
No degree.
No degree
No
in
degree.
the field.
Okay, I just want to know if you're talking from a medical perspective, or only from a first person that you've been through it. Which
Yeah.
they're both different eyes. They're both different sets of
Well,
eyes.
the reason I wrote my book is only because I have an MD that endorsed it, and there's an MD. It's not mine, but there's a doctor that endorsed it who happened to be the doctor. Let me get
I'm
to
sure
Dr.
he's
Lardon.
got good books too.
No, he wrote a book, Finding Your Zone. Well, let's get to it.
Okay,
So
let's get to it.
let's get to it.
Good idea.
So what ended up happening was I'm released back to my parents' home.
Okay.
And I'm not okay. I feel myself still anxious. And they had been taking me to the Orange County psychiatrist. And I'm
Okay.
like, Mom, Dad, these doctors, I feel it. They don't
Mom,
know
Dad,
what
are they the one of a doctor? either one of them doctors?
No, no.
Okay.
So, and my mom had brought like Catholic ladies to pray over me. I mean, it was just like, imagine your daughter's in this state of mind, right? So I found Dr. Lardon by calling our insurance company. I made my parents drive me down there.
You
And
had the presence of mind to go seeking a doctor, even though you were 5150, released and not of right mind by your own words?
I got to tell you, I knew that I needed something. Yes, and
Okay,
that's
good.
the part.
Okay,
That's,
so you
that's
so
those
you
are
opened
the
up the yellow
tools.
pages and...
No, I was on my parents' insurance. Listen.
All right, well, okay, you're on your yellow...
He has a hard time with that.
I'm a listen. I was on their insurance. I picked up the insurance card and called and said, "Hey, give me 2 psychiatrists in San Diego."
Okay.
Dr. Lardon was the only one that had an opening.
Okay.
We drove, and the minute he saw me, he was like 37, young doctor straight out of Stanford, and he's like, "You go to the school on the top of the hill? You fried your brains out, young lady. You crazy kids partying it up." He's like, "You are so lucky to be right here." He, this is 1998. You know, today.
And that was his technical diagnosis? You fried your brains
No,
out?
that he's very
That was
real
your
and
version of-
no, he was very real, very humanitarian. He drew my brain on his like dry erase board, and he's like, "This is your brain. All your neurotransmitters are going like this. All your dopamine levels are going like this. I need to give you meds to calm your brain down." He was the only doctor that was like, "What are you on?
Mm-hmm.
No, you need to calm down." And I was like, "Oh, what? I gotta take meds? Oh, hell no. Am I crazy?" So my book talks about the stigma and the label of like, it's very disheartening to be 19 and have something like this happen to you and then be like, "I got to be on meds." Now, fast forward, Dr. Lardon today is amongst one of the top sports medicine psychiatrists in the world. He treats a lot of athletes in the mainstream. He treats a lot of NFL players, PGA tour players. He treats a lot of the people in the athletes in the Olympics, and he knows how the mind works. And I owe a lot to him in the last 22 years. He's the only reason I really wrote my book, because he treats athletes, but I'm probably one of his patients that is not an athlete that he has helped me attain peak performance in my life.
What does peak performance mean?
He wrote a book called Finding Your Zone.
For you. What is it? I'm sure I'm a
Okay.
fan of him already. Just by what you're saying, I'm sure the guy's very smart.
Oh, no,
I'm
no.
sure he's top of the line.
I have some interviews
But
on my
what's peak
website with
performance
him.
for you? What's peak performance for you? What does that mean?
Peak performance for me
Are you like
is
an athlete?
peak performance is being able to find balance in my life and zoning out in any situation, no matter what happened to me. Like this was a trauma. Like Dr. Lardon speaks about instant amnesia. He in his book Finding Your Zone, he talks about seeing Tiger
Talking
Woods.
about him, I want to talk about you.
But I'm going to
What's
tell
peak
you.
performance?
I'm going
Okay.
to tell you because I have to give this example.
Okay.
He talks about seeing Tiger Woods on the golf course, and about how if he does a bad, what do you call it? Swing. He has to instantly do it again. You know, like instant amnesia. The best athletes forget about the bad one, right? And they just immediately go. He has taught me to be like, yes, this happened to you, but it doesn't define you. You have to put that.
So I'm back to peak performance. I get it. He's helping guys like Tiger Woods. I don't know if he helps Tiger Woods, but he's.
I can't say Tiger's his patient. I just know.
I don't know. I'm a fan of the doctor.
So I
Yeah.
think I get
Just
it.
by
So
what you say. So
he's helping you to forget what's happened.
Not that forget it, but not let it define me, and
Okay.
move forward.
So I got a bad swing, so I'm not a bad swinger. It just happened.
and bam, you know what?
So in your situation, give me an
criticize-
example in your situation.
In my situation, for one, and it's pretty ironic, is the fact that he didn't become. I met Dr. Lardon when he was like 37.
Mhm.
I don't know what year he became this well-known sports medicine psychiatrist, but when it got to the point, because I had 2 other breakdowns after this. I never did mushrooms again, but I was a crazy kid starting to do coke and just other stuff.
She's like, mushrooms are bad for me. Give me some Coke.
Yeah, but I can handle coke, right? Seriously. It's so stupid. No, it's so stupid. For a decade after, I never did shrooms.
That's kids, man.
But I was dumb. I was that dumb kid.
So after you saw a doctor, you're still doing cocaine?
Yeah, and Dr. Lardon knew everything, though. I would tell
He
him.
knew you were doing
Did
cocaine?
he sanction it?
No, he would just say, like,
Don't do
you're,
that.
you know, that's the thing. The psychiatrists, psychologists, they can't tell you not what to do. They're going to tell you, obviously, this is not going to get you back to, you know, it's going to get you more imbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I would lie to him on occasion, but when he started treating athletes, I think that's when when I found out that he started becoming more known, I was like, wow. He's like, you're not crazy, Aileen. I treat these athletes, if I can name drop who I treat, you're not crazy. He made me realize like it's more normal
To be crazy?
to some degree that there's people that you don't even know. There's people that you don't even know, if I gave you names, these athletes that are on meds, that are bipolar, and some of the most brilliant people in the world are a little crazy.
Oh yeah, hands down, no doubt.
And so and it's like, but for me, it's like, no, but it's a label. Like, no, because the stigma tells you anybody that sees a psychiatrist, psychologist has to be crazy. Where it's kind of changing now.
It tells us, or it tells you?
Society has kind of the norm. I mean, what is the norm? Is it normal to go see a psychologist? It's not treated. Is it normal to see a psychiatrist? Like it's normal. Like if you break your leg.
I believe this is perception, because this
My
sounds like
book
it's a
is-
lot of your perception. It sounds like you have a lot of your perception going on here.
So
And you're speaking for the entirety of society, and I'm a little lost on that.
okay, so here, when you read my book, it says a perspective of life. So my book's called "Look, This Is the Way It Is," a perspective of life through the lenses of a very real chick. Hashtag mental health. Hashtag false perceptions.
Okay,
Hashtag
so
first
you call
God.
yourself a very real chick.
Yes, because
you
I tell
realize
it.
that's not defined. That's whoever that's subjective. Whoever is saying that, they're a very real chick. So when you say that, you're starting off with a subjective perspective and saying that you went through and you did mushrooms with acid, and then you had a psychologist from 17, and at 19 you were declared 5150 by the police. Then you find this really cool doctor, which again I'm already a fan just by what you told me, and he treats some real famous people.
I'll get him on the show.
And then
Nice.
you are doing cocaine. While you're seeing the doctor, like, hey doc, when we're done here, I'm gonna go hit me a line of cocaine or whatever it is. I don't know how this
But
works.
then when he told me that he became this sports medicine psychiatrist treating all these mainstream athletes, elite athletes, I'm like, whoa, I'm not crazy because my doctor treats athletes. I mean, it's stupid, but
So
it's the reality.
You needed for it to be somebody important before you felt you were important.
To some degree, but he wasn't that person when I met him.
What if he never treated anybody famous?
Exactly.
Who cares? That doesn't change
Exactly.
it. You're still either
and that's my
helping you or he's
point.
not helping
But
you.
that's my point. That's my point. That's what helped me get better for whatever reason.
So your
it could have had
perspective-
any doctor.
So
I
you,
could-
yeah, but because you got someone that had famous people, you go, oh, then I must be okay.
Yeah, because you identify as you're a young kid. You're like, I mean, look at people. We hold up celebrities like they all have issues too, if not more than the normal
Oh, wait
person.
a minute. Hold on.
And
Shocker. Are they all doing cocaine?
I can't speak, but you know.
They're all doing cocaine.
I'm all,
already.
you
Maybe
know.
They are, maybe
I'm
they
like-
aren't. I don't know.
But you know what? One of the things, because it's actually really short, and this puts a lot into perspective, I am going to read real quick Dr. Lardon's foreword. Okay? I'm going to read it. It's real quick. It's short.
Okay.
Read
I'm going to read
Read
it so you guys can kind of see. He wrote this about me. So it puts into perspective really what this is all about. A wise man once said, "It is only when you are truly lost that you find your way." Aileen Amador's story starts 21 years ago when she went walking naked and psychotic after a college party.
Wait a minute. You said you were covered by a blanket. Was that for the podcast reasons, or is that?
That's in the book. It's not in the foreword.
Well, I'm just okay.
He
I'm
didn't
just
have to
checking with
put that-
you.
that's
Well, no,
irrelevant to the foreword.
You realize how many fans we have? We got to be legit with the fans. We can't.
Yeah,
be,
but this
we
is
can't be
Dr.
holding
Lardon's
back.
forward of the book. But he's not going to. That's irrelevant.
But you bring up naked and then covered in a blanket, and I got to figure out what the reality is.
Okay, read chapter something. It's in there.
It's in there. Okay. Well, how
Okay.
about I get the author on my podcast and she actually tells me?
I already told you that, and I told you why. Let me
No,
finish.
He said naked. You said
Let me
blanket.
finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me
Clear it up.
finish.
Clear it up.
Okay. Aileen Amador's story starts 21 years ago when she went walking naked and psychotic. I did say walking naked.
No, you didn't. You said in a blanket. You said covered in a blanket.
No. I went
No,
walking.
they
No,
found
you rewind.
her on the
Okay,
floor,
okay.
covered in a
Covered
blanket.
But you keep bringing it back up. I was ready to blow right by
All
it.
right, and psychotic after a college party.
Psychology. Okay, good.
Only to find
Psychotic.
herself
Got it.
only to find herself a few days later locked up in a psychiatric hospital. While in the hospital, she begins to hallucinate. She sees demons, Jesus, and other visions of which trigger her to begin to question her deep Christian faith. In title, Aileen shares her story of what happened when a profound instance of mental illness took over her life, changing her course forever. For Aileen, mental illness is not only a complicated medical condition, it is also a cause for a spiritual crisis. As she struggles to heal, she also seeks a way to understand the cause of her affliction, some of which lead her to question the emotional and mental constraints of her religious upbringing. She meets resistance from her family, friends, and members of her church, who hear Aileen's questions as offensive gestures against religious doctrine. Ultimately, the truth wins out. And in it, Aileen finds true healing, discovering that in spite of the societal stigma, Christianity and psychiatry can coexist and enhance healing. Aileen's story inspires those of us who believe in Jesus and struggle with mental illness in ourselves and in our loved ones. Her story is one of confusion, courage, faith, and ultimately happiness. As her doctor of 20 years, it has been my blessing to witness her salvation. Dr. Michael Larden, MD.
Okay,
in a nutshell,
no. What he just did is he encapsulated the book. That's not his actual his medical diagnosis. It's not. He's encapsulating the book. So I don't want to confuse the two.
Key. You said diagnosis. So that's the problem with society. We're a society of diagnosis. And I believe, oh, it's too loud?
Just step back a little. You're good. You're good.
We are a society of diagnosis.
Says who?
The labels. You go see a
What
shrink.
labels?
ADD, attention deficit disorder.
Okay, that's a diagnosis.
Okay. Bipolar disorder is another name, manic depressive illness,
got it.
manic.
You're right. These are all-
PTSD,
yep,
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Correct.
I mean,
these are all
they're-
diagnoses. You're
They're all
correct.
diagnoses, but the name tells you post-traumatic distress disorder. Something traumatic in your life, right, caused you to have this disorder.
Thus, a diagnosis.
That's the diagnosis. So what happened? Those are labels that are placed on you and to some degree define the person. We allow them to define us. That's why
That's
That's
subjective because one of them is a diagnosis and one of them is a perspective or an opinion.
Okay, but how about when you treat it, are you still suffering from the post-traumatic disorder? Because when you're treated correctly, whether it's medication, whether it's praying about it, whether it's changing your diet, you can't put people in a box. It's treating it like it was.
Who's putting you in a box?
And the reason I say I meet resistance, he says I meet resistance because I was
So
raised.
you were
I was
putting it in a
raised.
box.
I can't really hear.
You
I'll bring you up.
can increase, yeah. You,
Um,
you were putting it in a box.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that I told you I had a Catholic upbringing, but when all this happened, this was very spiritual. So I actually started attending a lot of Christian church. And as I started to attend a church, they'd be like, "You're on meds?" I would just pray about it, God. And I was
So
like, well,
who put you in a box? That's what I'm confused with.
again.
I think society puts you in a box.
Yeah.
I disagree with that.
No,
I really
because
disagree
with mental illness, from the research
Thanks,
that I've
Chris.
done, there's a lot that crosses over. There's a ton that crosses
Yes.
over. So you could be post-traumatic, you could be schizophrenic, you
Yes.
could be all
Yeah,
these
I got it.
bipolar, but there isn't an
could've
exact.
also have been
but
fat and you're not
people
fat
want
anymore.
to put you in that box.
Okay,
Go with that.
And it
It's the
doesn't exist.
lack of education and unknown because it's the study of the mind, the brain. You cannot we're all wired differently. And I think it comes down to, maybe the diagnosis. So my diagnosis, so getting back, I was in a drug-induced psychosis at 19 from shrooming. That was my first
Got it.
diagnosis, okay?
Got it.
What
did they diagnose you with when you were 17 and you started seeing
I
the
never
psychologist?
was. I only went to a psychologist because my parents, the doctor wanted to hear me. I was the youngest. I never had a diagnosis.
But you had a
Who
psychologist.
was the psychologist for?
It was for my mother and father and sister because there was issues in the home with my sister had bulimia, anorexia, and she had some suicidal
So they
issues.
hired
Okay, so
the
got it.
psychologist for your sister and them.
And hence I'm the one that kept
So
seeing.
by
I like
They-
you.
you guys
Aileen,
are like,
come
so
see me
there's
tomorrow.
a family there's a family.
They're the ones that need it. I'm just kidding. I
They're
love
the ones that need it. It's all their fault.
It's down. It's down again.
You can't hear yourself?
Yeah. I don't know why it keeps. Did I pop? There.
You hear yourself now?
Again. Go.
So your
You good?
family has a history of mental illness.
My father's side. It's
Okay.
weird. It's like echoing.
Okay.
How's it now?
Hello.
Ground control.
Yeah.
Major
Good?
Thomas.
Okay, but it's like
You don't need to have them on. You can take them off if you want.
Ground control.
Okay. I actually like having
Major
them on, but-
Thomas.
Makes it look
okay.
cooler.
So there. It's better.
Okay.
What happened?
I don't know.
I lowered it a little bit though.
You sound like Eminem now.
Okay, so
Like a rap god?
Rap God.
Rap
No.
god, rap god.
so that's key what you said. My family, That's one of the things that I believe mental illness needs to be seen. I think there's a genetic disposition on my father's side that
No doubt.
I
believe that.
I believe my I have an aunt that's schizophrenic on my father's side.
All right.
My dad suffers from anxiety. My grandmother
So your family has a history. Got it. Cool.
So one of my things with my book is having people understand that you're not crazy. For some people are more susceptible to cancer. Some people are more susceptible to diabetes. Some people are more susceptible to high blood pressure. That instead of
this is
being
not a shocker, though. This is everybody knows this.
what I'm trying to say is the lack of knowing and educating yourself that some people that I had to realize that what the cause of my affliction was, like Dr. Lardon stated in my foreword, that am I really crazy? Or you know what, genetically I have, maybe I never would have shroom, would it have come out? That's kind of the what I have later on developed this. So diagnosis, what happened after this incident, this psychosis? I told you I was a stupid kid and I started doing cocaine. I was like, okay, so I can't do shrooms.
While you were under a doctor's care.
Yeah, I was like,
under
okay.
the good doctor.
But see, here's the thing.
Under the good doctor, you were
I
doing
felt
cocaine.
inferior to my friends. I felt like I was crazy. I felt like, dude, why couldn't my brain handle the shrooms and my
And that's
friends?
So
perspective.
you actually thought
And
I'm
that's
the crazy
perspective.
one.
Yes.
Okay. I got a question for you. Did you ever feel like it was anybody else, and not you?
Well, it's funny you talk about perception. See, it's hard. That's why I wrote a whole book about it. It's hard for people to understand what I went through, being what my eyes were perceiving. That's why there's eyes in the front of my book cover, because you perceive what you perceive. That perception's an
That's
individual's
deep.
reality.
That was deep. You perceive what you
So what was
perceive.
your perception? Did you ever
did you
perceive that it was
perceive?
anybody else
So
and not
I
you?
knew what really happened to me.
You were clear? You were clear about it?
I was clearer, but I questioned my sanity. Of anybody would having that happen,
Oh,
and that
no-
was the trauma.
no doubt. but
I
from
think
my
people question their sanity daily.
Yeah, but they don't have an incident.
No,
that,
we don't.
that-
Only the
okay,
crazy
oh.
ones.
Maybe me. Maybe I'm the
Oh,
one
no,
who
no, no.
questions
No, no,
sanity
no.
daily.
Here's the thing.
'Cause
Here's the
I
thing.
question my sanity daily.
Okay, so
I am concerned now.
The most trauma and the pain that I experienced and the healing that I needed was from being kind of public, from being like, dude, did you hear what Aileen did? She shroomed on mushrooms. She's crazy, you know? And
So you had attention.
because I had this tangible incident that people knew about, my family, my peers,
That defines
I
you.
allowed it to define me. And it was gossip. It
And
was
you're still allowing it to define you so
No.
much so that you wrote a book.
well, this is my healing process. It's not defined. This is
But
reason.
this is definition. This is doctrine. The
This-
minute you put it in writing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, this is big
No,
because
but-
you're not known for going to the moon or being the first guy to break the sound barrier. You know what your
I'm-
first mark in the world was? Aileen was 5150.
Yes.
That's still defining you. Shocker.
No.
Okay.
So
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
you have
this
to read
isn't
it.
real.
You haven't read the book.
I would call that
but
an instance, not a definition.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I would say it's a foothold. Boom. This is, hey,
Do you-
I am
Because
putting
I've been
myself out there as
I was
writing this
once a
book.
child. I don't define myself as a child.
Well, absolutely. The minute if you
No,
write
no,
a
no.
book and say,
I was
hey,
once
I
a
was
baby,
child.
too.
No.
Yeah. But
So
it's
ask
the way
me.
you put yourself out in the world.
Ask me why I wrote the book.
Why did you write the book?
Ask me why.
Become a
I just
billionaire.
did. To be a trillionaire.
No, but
A
no.
trillionaire?
trillionaire,
Those don't
dude.
exist yet.
Dude,
Like what you
maybe.
say, unless
Could
you're
be.
Jay
She could be the
Rowling,
first
unless
trillionaire.
you're Jay Rowling's, like you said, Stephen King. This book, I self-published it. I'm not doing it.
I'm
doing
proud
it
of you
to help.
for that, by the way. I'm
Yeah,
very
good
proud
job.
of you.
Let me give you 1 second. Let me stop because I know I've been.
Oh, you're
kinda
gonna give me
coming at you.
praise?
I'm going to give you praise because I tell you what, this is like this. You went out and wrote a book, and for those who self-publish, what it means to self-publish means you have to write it or get a ghostwriter. You have to pay a lot of money. You have to pay a publisher. They have to pay for these things. It's not an inexpensive endeavor. It's a very expensive
Yes.
endeavor. And to do that is just like somebody going, hey, I bought a gym membership. Okay, cool. Did you get in shape? Well, no, you can self-publish. So does that mean you wrote a book? No, you did. You actually went through the process. You executed whatever that takes. You wrote a check or whatever you did. You sat down, typed it out, or talked to somebody, or talked it into a computer, whatever. But you did something.
Yes.
And that I give you huge praise for. I'm
Thank you.
very, very proud that
Thank
you
you.
got out there and you did something. Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. Because I'm still going to
Thank
come
you,
at you
friends.
with this stuff. I'm still.
But,
so
okay,
for the
but
fact
let-
that you wrote a book, I'm giving you huge thumbs up. Huge thumbs
Thank you.
up.
But I'm gonna tell you something
Tell
to
me
answer
something.
your question.
Okay, good.
When that happened to me at 19, a lot of people knew, and I said it, I'm going to share my story one day. I knew that it happened for a reason. Like, as
So
cliche,
you were defining yourself even then.
it
And
was
to
like,
this day.
it was my quest to be like, why did this happen? And one day I'm going to tell people why this happened.
Okay.
And I, for years, over 20 years, it was 21 years ago that happened. 21, yeah. It'll be 22 in January.
So you're still
Why
suffering
it
the
hap-
past.
Well, are you saying why it happened from a spiritual perspective or from a drug-induced perspective?
Because I realized that this happened to me, but there's other people this has to, because I know I'm not crazy. And I felt like I had to educate myself and find kind of the reason why it happened to heal. And so through the last 20 some years being treated by Dr. Larden, seeing therapists, and even everything I went through, being stupid and thinking, oh, well, my brain can't handle shrooms, but I could do lines of coke and I'm fine.
There you go.
I'm fine, Doc.
That's a good one. Hey,
I'm
hey,
addi-
all right,
Seriously.
shrooms are off the table. Lines of coke. We're good.
No,
Let's go.
she's
But-
like, Doc, I'm addicted to meth, crack, alcohol, not cocaine.
I don't
Right.
do. I don't do shroom. Yeah.
But now,
This is not my problem.
Hey, the coke doesn't make me go crazy. It just makes me, well, hence it makes me unstable.
I get
Are
all
you
kinds
still
of stuff
doing
done.
cocaine? Are you still doing cocaine?
No. I stopped.
Do you
doing
have
it
any?
Over.
Do you have any? You know
I
where I
am.
can get some?
I am Colombian, by the
I'm
way.
kidding. There you go. There.
She's
Now
like,
that-
I only
oh
import it.
man. Okay, I am
That solves
Colombian,
it
by
all.
the way.
That
Just
solves
kidding.
it. Okay, good.
Oh no, that's bad for me to say to my Colombian peeps. We
Yeah.
don't like to be known for that.
It's called import-export.
We like to be known for coffee and
Import,
flowers, and beautiful
export.
women and food.
I like all those things.
Something. Okay.
All right. So where were we at?
I don't know. Where were you? Where were you?
Well, okay, so I asked you if it was a spiritual or drug-induced, and then you went on with that
Oh,
piece.
okay.
You
So
told me to ask you why you wrote the book. You
Oh,
never
yeah,
answered. You
yeah.
never answered.
So that's
answer
what I'm
the
saying.
I still don't have a
question.
timeline.
Aileen, answer the question.
Okay, so I wrote the book for much healing that I needed.
Okay. So you're still suffering the past.
No. This is
Well, you wrote the book to heal.
this is
That's what you just said.
Hold on.
In order to heal, you have to have suffering.
Here's the
Or
thing.
pain.
Because I'll tell you, let me say, you got the present, the right now, okay? And you can suffer what's in the future, but the future hasn't happened. You get that?
Yes.
Okay, so you can suffer the past, but that's already done. You can't do anything about
Okay,
the past.
but here's the thing. This is 178 pages of my vent of. It's like healing. It's
Okay,
like an
so you have
outlet.
to heal. So you're still suffering and you're healing.
Not anymore.
Okay, so you're now
but,
healed.
But here's the thing. That's a good question. Until I die, I'm gonna battle. Like, this is not like I've arrived. I wrote a
So you're
book.
healing.
I wrote a book saying, "Hey, this is what happened. Look."
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. That's a whole other podcast. But you guys know what I'm personally going through, and it's at the very end of this book that I ended my book with, "Look, this is the way it is, and life's always gonna throw something at you, and I look forward to what is to come." And last year, before publishing this book, when it was supposed to come out, my husband got diagnosed with brain cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And
I'm very sorry to hear that.
yes, just to prove that, look, this is the way it is. Life's, be prepared, because life's always going to throw you something. And I never ever
But this
thought.
is still a healing process.
No, yeah. So,
So you're not
no.
healed.
Because are we really ever? You just learn to cope with life and what? Because had I not written this book and gotten to the point, I probably would not be able to endure the biggest trial of my life, because I wrote a whole book about what I thought was the worst thing that happened to me. And the next book I'm going to write is about the journey with my husband having brain cancer. Because finding optimal mental health, or getting to a place where you're able to balance life and mental health, your mental health, doesn't mean you're not going to get highs and lows. We're always going to get highs and lows.
You think that's a shocker for anybody?
It's learning to balance it. Whether it means you're somebody that can change their diet.
Do you think that's a shocker?
A shocker
We
to
all, I
people?
mean, as anybody who's been alive, I get this. I get this from a lot of people. Like, hey, you don't understand what I've come through. I'm like, okay, so where are you? What have you built? And what have you come through? We all know in life you have to balance. Hey, you know what? Hey, here's a real breaking news. There's going to be highs and lows in your life. Shocker. No, we all know that. I get that. I get that. Hey, you're going to get setbacks. You're going to get wins. That's life, right?
Right.
That's life.
Right. But how do we manage them? How do we do it healthy? Do the way?
And then
Again,
healthiest
it's
perspective, right?
destroying me. Hello?
Healthiest
You're good,
perspective,
you're
right?
good.
No, it like went away.
It went away in your ears?
Yeah.
Okay, did it come
I-
back?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, but it's
Because
like
we're all struggling with stuff. We're all struggling, but you're struggling through your perspective, through your perception,
And with your
right.
earphones.
Everybody's.
and your earphones. Yeah, don't forget.
I'm
your earphones
struggling
either.
because
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
like when
struggling.
I
Yeah, there
look
you go.
like I'm
That'll
not-
help. Smack the mic. There you go.
Okay, hello.
No. I was
Yeah,
kidding. Don't smack the mic.
it's perception. We all have our own truths. The way you perceive your reality is different than mine. What is?
Oh, don't get into that. We're gonna get into dimensions.
Oh, here we go. Dimensions.
Hey,
Dimensions.
Hey.
Ooh, that's
You
a
know what,
whole
Chris?
other
Chris.
conversation.
Chris.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you something because I have a very good memory.
Okay.
I remember
I don't believe that, but okay.
I remember you telling me back at Wholesale Capital.
What year was this?
By the way, we all used to work together.
I never worked in my
People
life.
don't know.
He doesn't work.
Anyhow, that the problem with humanity is we don't own up to stuff.
Okay.
Wouldn't life be better if, as humans, we owned up to what we've been through?
To who?
To yourself?
Oh yeah, you always have to.
You said that to me one time,
Okay.
and I thought it was profound.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Good job, dude.
And I remember it.
I'm awesome.
Yes,
And
you
I
are.
think that's the problem.
Let's take a
we
moment of
over-
silence to praise Chris. Ready? 1, 2, 3, silence. Up.
I think
I was
human
trying to do
beings,
silence. I was trying to
we
do
don't own
silence.
up
You're not
to...
doing a very good job, man. Shut up.
All right, quiet.
Okay. I think as human beings, we do not own up to what causes us, or some of us do. Okay, so let me not just stereotype everybody, but there are triggers in our life that cause us to be anxious, that cause us to be depressed, that cause us, maybe you've never dissected your life and been like, what caused me to get here? What caused me to get here? And I think that's the problem, that humanity doesn't always own up to it. And so what do? We overcompensate with stuff. Whether we get obsessed with the gym, whether we get obsessed with work, whether we get obsessed with, why do people have affairs? Why do, it can go on and on. I think we don't own up to the instability or the imbalance. Does that make sense? Something
When
we
you
were,
say-
but we
So are
weren't
you
born.
saying that when
Yeah.
something goes chaotic, you change directions and dive into something else?
But
Is that
when
what
you
mean?
say
It's like a
we,
cover up. Like we overcompensate. Like
who's we?
Lee Duran.
I
that's
said,
we.
You're
I
overcompensating,
said,
man.
I think
guess.
I just said I didn't want to stereotype because I'm not saying this
Yeah,
is
but who's
everybody.
we, though?
I think there are many people that do not deal with the instability, and they overcompensate, and they never own up to. Let's just say
So
we're
that's-
all ugly. We're all
that's
good.
your
We're all bad and ugly. We're all fallen. We all have an ugly nature. Nobody's perfect. I'm not going to get all spiritual and
No,
talk
no,
about
I
Jesus
agree. I
Christ,
agree.
but we're all ugly. Do we all own up to our ugly side?
I don't know. Do we? Because it's your perspective.
It's pride. A lot of people we
That's
have a lot
your
of pride.
perspective, though.
A
Your
lot of people are
perspective.
proud. Exactly.
Well, I don't understand
But I don't
what
think
you're
I'm
saying.
that far off.
I don't understand what you're saying because, like, let's say we're at a grocery store and I could walk out with that candy bar or I couldn't. I think that's what you're trying to say, right? And some people say, I'm going to buy it because I'm a good
Talking
person.
about theft?
And some people steal it. No, she's talking about the ugly side.
I don't. I'm
we all-
lost. I'm lost because I see everything's coming through your perspective.
Well, yeah, I wrote a book. It's my
Where else is it
perspective.
going to come from? Where else is it going to come from?
Oh, yeah. Hello.
Do you have a person that speaks for you?
Yeah. Do you have it? Yeah. Hello. So your perspective, and just the whole book was about your perspective.
understand. This is all your.
This is all your perspective.
Well, okay.
Wait a minute. How come?
Okay. Now,
look,
what
look,
makes you be Lee?
Look.
Look, what makes you be Lee?
Ugly glasses and ugly shirts.
Who is
Ugly,
Lee? Who is
according
Chris?
to him, ugly glasses and ugly shirts.
Who is Lee?
According
Who's
to
Chris?
him, ugly glasses.
And that's
ugly
my
shirts.
perspective.
And that's his perspective.
Exactly.
What's your perspective?
And who am I to argue that?
Yeah. Who is she to argue that? She wrote a book. She's an
Fact.
author.
Nobody can
Exactly.
argue with
No,
that.
she
It's
is
fact.
a fact. Fact. She wrote a book. Fact. She's an author.
I love this.
Why don't we tell everybody that right now,
Right now.
the books that you can purchase are on demand.
Plug yourself. Go. You got 2 minutes.
Yeah. You got 2
Yeah.
minutes. Go.
2 minutes
The
for this
books
podcast.
that you can purchase right now are on demand by order at www.aileenamadormezza.com. That's
Aileen.
AILEENAMADOR
Do you post this stuff?
MEZZA.com. I said that really fast.
Do it again.
That is www.AILEENM. Oh, dude, do it again because that's not. I said it, Mezza.
Well, let me give you a hint for the rest of the world. You never have to say www again in your life.
Oh, okay.
Everybody knows www.
What
That
if
is
you're-
true. Okay,
www
so
has
go
the World
to
Wide Web.
Aileen Amador Mezza.
What is it?
AILEENMEZZA.com.
You-
Did I
you messed
spell?
it up.
I messed
That's
up. I
okay.
didn't say Amador.
I don't know how to
That's
say
okay.
I'm
it.
not
You
used
can't
to
get
saying-
it. How's anybody get? They'll figure it out.
Okay,
Don't
so
worry
what I'm
about
going to
it.
say
They'll
is
figure
go
it
to
out.
www.AileenAmadorMezza with two
So what's the most
Z's.com.
shocking thing?
So
I mean, the
hold
most
on,
shocking
hold
thing in
on,
the book.
hold on,
Hit me.
hold on.
You only got 1 minute left.
How
So what
We're
I'm
about to
saying
lose
is,
everything.
I'm
We
gonna,
started
I'm
late.
about
We're
to
already
tell
going with this.
them that
Okay,
go
good.
right now
1 minute.
before it's
Go.
on
Go.
Amazon.
1 minute.
Dude, you're talking and you're wasting the minute.
Go.
Before it goes on Amazon, because it's not on Amazon, I'm going to revise the copies right now. So you can go purchase the copies right now. It's not on Amazon and Barnes & Noble or iTunes yet till later next month or early year. But what is the whole thing about the book? What did you ask me? What do you want me to end with?
What's the big highlight of the book?
What's the big
Give me a
highlight?
highlight, yeah.
That number one, I wrote it for myself, and number two,
So the highlight is about you.
Number two, to be a mental health advocate.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
Unfortunately, we got a break. That's it. We're out of time. Hey, appreciate everybody tuning in.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, don't break the internet by bringing all your friends to listen to this at once or whatever. Break it. It's okay. We're cool with that. And we are out.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.